Hey guys, a few months ago, Demetri and I made a video about how the Donkey Kong franchise was kind of going through an identity crisis. It seemed like Nintendo didn't really know where to take the franchise and how to portray it, like whether Donkey Kong Country Returns was the face of the franchise or not, or if K-Rool was treated as the main villain, or Tiki Tongue. It seems like they really couldn't decide for quite a while. There were no new games for a decade. We really only got ports or like other things like Mario vs. Donkey Kong. And it was just really confusing. We knew that Nintendo had big plans for the franchise, but it was taking so long for those plans to kind of play out. And it really was kind of confusing where Nintendo was taking the franchise. But now, we finally know going into the Switch 2 era, and it seems like Donkey Kong is going to have a more consistent identity going forward. But before we get started, I wanted to mention that I have a goal to hit 30,000 subscribers before the Nintendo Switch 2 launches, so if you enjoy my content, consider subscribing, and if I hit that goal, I will give away a copy of Mario Kart World. But the first thing that kind of cements Donkey Kong having a more consistent identity now is the fact that DK himself has a new design. And I think this new design is very consistent. Nintendo has been rolling it out in a lot of ways. Like they added it to like the Nintendo Switch core icons. They're going to use it in Mario Kart World. And of course Donkey Kong Bonanza as well. And that whole game is definitely a topic for another part of this video as well. But this design kind of seems like Nintendo is forming an identity, and it seems like they're definitely like building off of this design in a lot of ways. I feel like this design kind of bridges the gap between Rare's design and Miyamoto's design. Like it has that expressive energy of modern Nintendo, but it also has a lot of the elements that made the Rare design good. It feels like it's the best of both worlds. And it also seems like this design is now like Nintendo's thing, and it seems like Nintendo's more comfortable doing their own thing with it now. It's not like Nintendo wasn't comfortable doing their own thing with the older design, but it seems like Nintendo definitely is more comfortable with this design, and they have the feeling that they can do more of their own thing with this design. I feel like this design was definitely kind of helping make Donkey Kong more of their own thing rather than like something that was usually handed off to like a second party studio like in the past with either Rare or Retro. Now it seems like something that is more of Nintendo's own thing, and in a way also kind of connected to the Mario franchise as well. I mean, I know DK is definitely its own thing, but it's still technically connected. I mean, Mario is technically a spin-off of DK when you think about it, but it kind of bridges that gap as well, while also kind of keeping DK's own core identity, I would say. So it really seems like this design allows Donkey Kong to have more of its own identity, and I definitely think that was partially the intention with this new design. And another thing that is definitely helping Donkey Kong have more of a consistent identity is Donkey Kong Bonanza. And Bonanza is also making efforts to connect Donkey Kong's new identity with the Rare identity, and it's kind of bringing back a lot of the elements from the Rare games as well. Like, Bonanza has so many callbacks to the Rare game so far. Like, there's like the segment of the level that references jungle hijinks, and then Ingot Isle, the area where that appears, kind of looks similar to Crocodile Isle in Lost World from Donkey Kong Country 2. It kind of appears to be kind of similar to that. And then there's also the fossils that reference different things, like we saw one of like a Noddy, which is like a rare enemy. And then also, like we saw a map of the Northern Cremisphere from Donkey Kong Country 3 on like a map with one of the fossils on it. And then there's a lot of things from Donkey Kong 64 as well. when you collect a golden banana in the game, kind of like Donkey Kong 64, it does the "oh, banana" sound clip. And then there's even like remixes of different songs from that game, like Rambi's theme we've heard so far. And then we're even seeing like other things as well, like references to the DK rap, and then what is possibly like orange grenades as well. So there seems to be quite a lot of callbacks to Donkey Kong 64, and then just rare Donkey Kong in general. And then another thing that a lot of people have been picking up on is the fact that K. Rool and the Kremlings are possibly returning in this game. I know at first that may seem like a stretch, and it seems like something, of course, Donkey Kong fans would want to see, but there's a lot of evidence hinting towards K. Rool appearing in this game. Like, we've seen so far these crocoid enemies, which are basically like skeletal Kremlings that are kind of made out of gold. So, and we've also seen that their Japanese name has a very similar name to Kremling-type enemies in Japanese. So there is a good possibility that these are connected to the Kremlings in K. Rool. And there's definitely a lot of hints towards K. Rool possibly being in this game, like alongside the new villains. So I think that's definitely a possibility there, and that would definitely help to kind of like build up Donkey Kong's identity again if like K. Rool was in the game. So it seems like in general, they are more comfortable with connecting Bonanza to the Rare games, even more so than like Retro Studios was connecting their games to the Rare Donkey Kong games. It seems like they're much more comfortable with kind of embracing Donkey Kong's past now, which was something that was kind of a bit uncertain a few years ago with Donkey Kong's identity crisis, and that's another reason why I don't think Donkey Kong has an identity crisis anymore. It seems like they are building up a more consistent identity that is definitely able to embrace its history more. And another thing about Bonanza is that it's also kind of connecting to the DKC roots of like mine and underground levels, which is something that is arguably just as synonymous with DK as jungles. Like, there are a lot of like underground and mine levels in the Donkey Kong Country games, and I feel like Bonanza is definitely embracing that, since the whole game is about like digging around and kind of going through like a mine and different things like that. That's like a big theme of the game. So that's kind of like another thing building off of like the identity of DK. But with this new identity, I do have some concerns. Like, so far, we haven't seen Diddy Kong since Donkey Kong's redesign. I mean, I guess if you aren't counting the movie, but like other than the movie, and then like aside from like the other games where DK had his old design, we really haven't seen Diddy Kong that much lately, which I do think is kind of concerning. I know like not having like Funky Kong and Dixie Kong is one thing, like on top of Diddy, but not having Diddy Kong is a little concerning here. Like, he doesn't seem to be in Mario Kart World unless he's an unlockable character, which I hope, and we haven't seen him in Bonanza either. However, I do think there is a good possibility that he could be in Bonanza, especially since we've seen like Cranky, and we know that Rambi is going to be in the game as well. So I feel like there are going to be a lot of returning characters in Bonanza. We just haven't seen them yet because they like haven't shown up in any of the early footage that we've seen. So I do think there is a good possibility that Diddy Kong will be in Bonanza, and I just think it's a matter of time before he shows up. I don't think they're like phasing out any of the characters or anything. I do think Diddy Kong is going to show up sometime soon, I would say. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I am just happy to see that Donkey Kong seems to have a consistent identity again, because it seems like over the past decade that was kind of uncertain, and we really didn't know what they were going to do with Donkey Kong. But now it seems clear that Nintendo has big plans for DK, And it seems like they want to make Donkey Kong a big, huge core Nintendo franchise. And they want to build a big identity surrounding DK with that. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Blue Sky if you want to. Stay perky!